if you like college football, and I know the three of us do, you can't get anything better on a Saturday afternoon than a double overtime game in the Pac-12.
Good evening and welcome to Pac-12 After Dark. I am Erik Coleman, joined by Coach Nick Aliotti. We are here to talk Pac-12 football. Oregon State just got done with a thriller. Double overtime victory over Colorado State in Corvallis. A great game overall. Coach, I thought it was a fantastic offensive game plan by Oregon State. They ran the football well, 251 yards on the ground, 147 yards in the air. That's on par for what they've been doing so far this season.
If you like college football, and I know the three of us do, you can't get anything better on a Saturday afternoon than a double overtime game in the Pac-12. I loved everything about this football game. I tell you what, Jelani McCoy, Colorado State was behind the whole game. Then they go up by 3 with about 2 minutes left, or a little bit under 2 minutes. And then Jelani McCoy leads a great drive down the field to put Oregon State in field position to kick the tying field goal. Then we go to overtime. Both teams get a touchdown and kick the extra point. And then Oregon State gets the ball and they score on their second possession on the first play with a Hankerson run, get the 2-point conversion on a little stop route by the tight end, and then they held Colorado State. But I'll tell you what, it was a fantastic football game. I enjoyed everything about it. And, we're big fans of Oregon State, Washington State here at the Pac-12. Not just saying that, we're rooting for them. So a great win for the Beavers today.
Absolutely. And, Coach, early, I was a little concerned. Jam Griffin, the running back for Oregon State, went down in the first quarter with the injury, did not return from the game. But Anthony Hankerson was able to pick up the load, carried the team on his own. He had 26 carries for 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, along with Jelani McCoy running the football for the quarterback position. I thought Oregon State was very physical up front and did a great job of executing offensively. Even McCoy hit a couple of nice passes to keep the drives going. I thought he was excellent. Did throw an interception, but overall, what did you think about Oregon State's performance offensively?
Well, their recipe to win is ball control. And when they lost Griffin, Hankerson became the bell cow, and he did an outstanding job, had the most carries ever in his career. I think it was either 25 or 26 for over 100 yards. And then since something very interesting happened after Oregon State lost the game to Oregon. And I only go back to that for this reason. They implemented the option with Jelani McCoy, and that option got them 2 or 3 touchdowns with McCoy running, and that was a big weapon for them today, was the speed option to the weak side and one time to the strong side. But they utilized that, was a big part of their offense with Jelani on the edge on the option and Hankerson inside with the inside and outside zone.
Absolutely, and McCoy was able to run in for a touchdown one time on that option where he kept it. I thought he did a great job. What an athletic player, explosive player, and can do it in the air as well. So that was impressive to see. Now, listen, Coach, we're both defensive guys. Trent Bray, the head coach of Oregon State, is a defensive guy. 31 points they gave up, 176 yards on the ground. It seemed like there's a section of that game where Colorado State was almost running at will. What does Oregon State need to do in order to slow down the run games of their opponents? Because that's one of their strengths coming into this season, and it seems like they've had a couple of games where they've given up a lot of chunks on the ground.
Yeah, early in the season that wasn't happening, but now they're playing a little bit better opponent. Purdue and Colorado State, who are good running teams, were able to run the ball a lot better than the other 2 teams or the other 3 teams prior to these games. And so, I think their backers have to attack downhill a little bit better. When I don't study the film, it's a little bit harder, but they're not attacking. They're probably losing some gaps. They lost some edges of the defense. All those things are recipe for disaster when you're not keeping the ball inside of you, D-line not holding their gap, and the linebacker's not attacking downhill, and the running back has a hole and they're not meeting them to about 3 or 4 yards down the field. So those things I'm sure Trent Bray, being a defensive guy, will fix. But they need to do a better job stopping the run moving forward after starting the season early, doing so very greatly.
I agree, Coach. And if I know Trent Bray, he's going to get that fixed. And this Oregon State team is showing a lot of promise. They're having some players step up in some key roles. They got some contributions from the tight end position this week. They're starting to come into their own and show you. Now they stand at 4-1 in the Pac-12. Coming up, they have Nevada. They're going to play against Nevada in Reno. And the schedule is favoring Oregon State right now. I think that a lot of teams are going to have problems with this team because of their physicality, because of their brand of football. And this brand of football is built to play in November, to win in December when it counts. So looking forward to that matchup next week. I haven't got a chance to study Nevada yet. Coach, have you seen anything from the Wolfpack, during this season?
No, I haven't watched a lot of them. I will say this, moving forward, Oregon State, as I look at their schedule, pretty much should be the favorite in every game except for Washington State and Cal. I believe they play Cal. I think they'll be the favorite in the rest of those. And obviously, they've played Washington State and Cal for a long time. They're teams those are two teams they match up well with. I just don't think they'll be the favorite against those two teams. If there's one criticism of Oregon State, it's this. They need to have a down-the-field passing game. I've been saying this forever and ever. Now, they're getting away with it because I think they're better than the teams they've played. I really do. But when they meet someone that's equal, or even if it's not equal, they need to have a down-the-field passing game. I don't think, and I could be wrong, because there might be one, I don't think there was a ball thrown down the field over 20 yards. I'm talking about down the field, 20 or more yards, that was completed. There might have been some 20 yards run and catch after the catch, but they don't throw the ball down the field. It's hard to win football games without explosion plays. Now, they got a few out of McCoy in the option runs, but you can't count on that because moving forward, people are going to start defending the option now better, being ready to play that better than the last two teams that they've faced.
Coach, that's a great point you bring up. And, it's kind of funny watching this Oregon State team. It reminded me back when I was at Washington State and we played Oregon State when Steven Jackson was a running back, where it was a run-heavy team. And when you went to play Oregon State, you knew you're going to put a couple extra pumps into your helmet, tighten up your chin strap because they're going to run the football. I guess the contrast is they did have a downfield attack. They took shots down the field. But as a safety, when there's a team that's running the ball and they're not taking shots, Coach, I'm inching up closer and closer to that line of scrimmage. Don't really have to honor that play action. And you're right. A safety coming downhill is going to absolutely obliterate that option. So I agree, Coach. That's a great point. Oregon State does need to start taking some shots down the field in order, even if you don't complete them, Coach, just take them down the field so that those safeties have to respect that deep threat that you can pose on offense.
Well, you and I are both pulling for Oregon State and Washington State. So those people that listen to this, not trying to be critical, just trying to be honest with what we think they have to do moving forward. Because if I'm defending Oregon State, there's no way they're not running that football. No. I'm not going to let you run the football. Whatever it takes, gap sound, coming downhill, extra people in the box, I'm going to say, McCoy, you need to show me that you can beat me throwing the ball. So moving forward, I think they need to do a better job of that. Now, they win a game in double overtime. They're 4-1. I know this has been their recipe to win football games, but they've been better, in my opinion, than everybody that they beat. And when they faced a team that, at least this year in Oregon, that they weren't better than, and they couldn't run the ball, they had no answer. They had absolutely no answers. Again, not being a homer, not being an Oregon guy, being a realist of what I see on football every Saturday.
Absolutely, Coach. And the future is bright for Oregon State. It was a great week for them. Double overtime victory. Super excited about what's in the future. Washington State had the bye. And when we come back, we'll chat about the Cougs. We'll talk about the Beavers upcoming weeks. So stay tuned with us on Pac-12 After Dark. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Pac-12 After Dark. Talked about Oregon State's great win against Colorado State. Now let's get into Washington State. Washington State coming off a bye. Next week, they're going to Fresno State to play the Bulldogs. Now, Washington State geared up after losing a disappointing game to Boise State. It was a tough performance. They lost 45-24. What are some things that you think, Coach, that Washington State went into this bye working on to improve on for the rest of the season?
Well, hopefully, and Dicker is a good head coach. They probably self-scouted themselves for the last 3 or 4 weeks, what they've done, what their tendencies are, what looks good, what looks bad, what they need to throw out, what they could add. Got a little rest, got a little healthier, practiced 3 or 4 days. Coaches went on the road recruiting at the end of the week, if they could do that at this time of the year. I don't know the rules anymore, but I think there are no rules anymore. So they probably could go out. If they can't go out, they probably went out anyway. That being said, they need to do a better job. They played a great back in Ashton Genty. So my hat's off to that young man, but they did not stop the run very well. But Mateer has continued to play very well. And the other thing they didn't do well was pass pro. Boise State saw a chink in the armor and blitzed them and sacked them 6 or 7 times. And that had happened to them in their previous game. So stopping the run, blitz pickup, or what we're going to do against the blitz, pass pro, those are the things that they probably looked at and had to really work on this week.
Yeah, Coach, I agree with you. I think a lot of the load is on John Mateer. You know, if he's not doing it in the air, he has to do it with his legs. I think that Washington State has to find that player who's going to step up and help take some of the brunt off of John Mateer's shoulders, kind of even the load. Although they have a lot of playmakers. You know, if you look at the wide receiver position, Kyle Williams, Chris Hudson, Wayshawn Parker has been doing a great job running the football. So Washington State has a lot to build on and a lot to look forward to going down the stretch of the season. On the defensive side, I would like to see them step up up front, stopping that run, Coach. And I know we always talk about stopping the run, but if you know any defense, we talked about this. Number one goal every week is stopping the run. I don't care who you're playing against. You can't let teams run down the middle of your defense because it just exposes you. It opens you up to so many different possibilities. So stopping that run, making teams play with one hand is a great way to approach it on defense. Coach, Oregon State, they're going to play the Nevada Wolfpack. Obviously, coming off a big double overtime win, they've got to stay focused. You know, you talk about Alabama coming off that win against Georgia, going out to Nashville, losing to Vanderbilt. Oregon State, off an emotional win, has got to find a way to focus back in, to lock in, go out to Reno, and handle their business against the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and let's face it, Fresno State's a tough team. They're a physical team. Talking about Washington State to begin with, they're a physical team, and they play hard, and they play good football. So Washington State's got to be ready for that. Washington State, I don't think, as I look at it, has anybody left on their schedule that they can't beat. I really believe that. Washington State's schedule sets up nicely. Their toughest game to me might be this weekend against Fresno and then against Oregon State. Now, talking about Oregon State, they're better than Nevada. They're just flat out better than Nevada. And they'll keep their same recipe. And what I know about Trent Bray, he'll keep his guys grounded. Yeah, celebrate, enjoy this players for 24 hours, and then it's on full focus to Nevada.
Yeah, Coach, got to get them back locked in. And you know, as a defensive side of the ball, you give up that many points. you're immediately you're happy that you won, you celebrate, but at the end of the day, you know that there's a lot you have to improve upon. So I'm sure Oregon State will get to work at stopping that run. Let me see, Coach, for Washington State, I just really like that, like you mentioned, their schedule moving down the line. They've got Hawaii at home. They got to go to San Diego State. They got to play Utah State, New Mexico, then go to Corvallis to play Oregon State, and then they finish up against Wyoming. So you're right, Coach. The schedule is favorable for Washington State. If they can take care of their business, listen, we might have a Pac-12 school in the playoff in the first year of the playoff. That would be a great start to what we've got going on with the new Pac-12.
Yeah, I as I look, and then Oregon State, I think their biggest game is Washington State, and then they have, Oregon State has to play Cal, I believe, too. So they have two tough ones left. They're all tough if you're not ready, but they have two games on their schedule, that being Oregon State, where they might not be favorite or it's a small margin. Washington State, I think, will be favorite in every game, including Fresno State, that they have on their schedule. So both of these teams, and we like these teams, we're pulling for these two teams. Both of these teams could have outstanding seasons if they stay focused and take care of the little things that they need to improve on. That being explosion out of Oregon State's passing game, a little bit more downfield passing, stopping the run better. Washington State, a little bit better pass pro because they got exposed against Boise State, stopping the run better. So these two teams are playing good ball. They both only have one loss. And so moving forward, they control it. Just be ready to play every week.
Absolutely. Coach, I love talking football with you. I could do this all day. And of course, you're going to be talking about Washington State, Oregon State, their matchups this week on the Nick and Nigel show. So make sure you guys tune in and check out the previews for those two games. But for us at Pac-12 After Dark, that's a wrap. Coach Nick Aliotti, I'm Erik Coleman. Make sure you come back to us next week. We're going to be talking about Washington State. We're going to be talking about Oregon State and hopefully their victories against their next opponents. But thanks for tuning in with us on Pac-12 After Dark. Have an amazing week.